Alright, so boom, if you are unaware, let me catch you up to speed. A couple of days ago, there was a lawsuit that was filed against Fox Sports, Skip Bayless, Charlie Dixon, and Joy Taylor. This 42-page complaint, 14-count action against these individuals range from sexual battery to unpaid wages to wrongful termination, retaliation, and a number of different things. And over the course of the past 3 days, I have read through this 42-page complaint about 37 times. And then it dawned on me as I was dissecting it page by page, complaint by complaint, allegation by allegation. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even wear glasses. We're here for the jokes. Skip Bayless was trying to pay $1.5 million for some married pussy.
You didn't say that. Tell me you did not just say that.
Here I was pondering whether I should wear a suit for this video and some goofy ass glasses, taking liberty in trying to be somewhat of a diplomat, only to come across the fact that Skip Bayless was operating as if he graduated from P. Diddy University.
I guess he might be the horniest man in America, huh?
Now, before we move forward, let's just break down the individuals who's involved in this case. First and foremost, we have Miss Faraji herself, who are levying these allegations. She was a hairdresser at Fox for 12 years. Then we have Charlie Dixon, the executive vice president, going crazy at Fox. I ain't seen no EVPs operate the way this man was allegedly operating since the people at AEW. At least in their case, it was all about wrestling until it wasn't. But that's not what we're here to talk about. And I don't need to give an explanation as to who Joy Taylor is or who Mr. Skip Bayless himself is. But let's talk about what transpired here in these
accusations.
It's the year 2017. It's summertime. Miss Faraji's giving Skip Bayless a haircut. He's sitting in the chair looking incredibly goofy, probably with his mouth ajar, sitting there like...
I'm gonna come.
Now, Miss Faraji appears to be a blessed woman, if you will. And Skip Bayless made sure he could take liberty to let her know about it. So he proceeded to let her know that she's rather voluptuous, if you will. Now, granted, one could say, hey, Skip.
I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game.
Perhaps the old man had game, but unfortunately for him, not only did she decline his advances, Skip Bayless is a married man. Up until this point, he was married for a year.
Is a no good, lousy son of a bitch. That's exactly what he is.
Wedding ring didn't even make a groove or tan line on this man's finger, and he was already looking elsewhere. Then, over the course of the next 4 years, according to the document, Skip Bayless would proceed to extend hugs prior and after haircuts. He would begin to kiss Miss Faraji on the cheek and continually comment on her body up until 2021, where it appeared as which Miss Faraji went and visited her doctor. Something was going on with one of her ovaries. They thought perhaps it could be cancer. She then told Skip Bayless, hey, I think I may have possibly come down with a bit of cancer. But Skip said, fuck all that. I'm trying to be with you. He turned into the urban youth on Twitter, said, let me hold your hands while I say this, began to kiss and whispered in her ear,
My turn!
Give me pum pum, girl. Give me pum pum, girl.
Then proceeded to offer $1.5 million just for that cat.
Tell me you didn't just say that.
Skip, are you out of your mind? $1.5 million for some pussy? At best, it's worth
about $3.50.
This senile old man, 7 days later, doubled back to hell with the possible cancer diagnosis. He don't give a damn about that. He trying to open up that envelope and said, I could change your life. The offer's still on the table.
It's my turn.
Evidently, haircuts wasn't enough. Ernestine must have not been satisfying this man at home. Perhaps he wanted his cake and eat it too, so he could be on top of Miss Faraji, saying,
Hey there. Faster. Faster.
Eat a dick, old man.
This man was so diabolical. When she said, Skip, stop, you have a wife. Man said, ain't you a Muslim? Your pops got like 3-4 wives, don't he? Shorty said, my dad dead. He ain't give a damn. He looked at her like,
and bitch, you a fake Muslim. You suck mad dick. You're not holy. What? You suck mad dick. You're a thought. You're not. Get the fuck. Let me fight.
You told me it was my turn.
do you know how down bad and horny you've got to be to pretty much terrorize this woman for years, allegedly, and then proceed to offer $1.5 million after she discloses the fact that she may possibly have ovarian cancer. Then when she denies you, you proceed to double back and say, ain't you a Muslim? Sir, you gotta relax. It's as if mans walked into the damn makeup chair, pulled her aside, and said, I don't want to be a bother, but
Put your pussy lips on live, I'll give you $1,000.
$1.5 million. Sir, are you out of your mind? And to make matters worse, I guess when we thought the breakup between him and Shannon was solely because of two things: telling Shannon to put the glasses back on, and then furthermore going on to say that his career was nothing in comparison to Tom Brady due to what Brady was doing in his 30s and 40s, whatever the case just so happened to be. He actually accused Miss Faraji of sleeping with Shay Shay behind the scenes.
It's my turn.
This is incredible, nasty work, as they say. Not only were you trying to pay $1.5 million just to fuck, you were willing to be incredibly upset. You were apoplectic, had a conniption every time you walked into the makeup room because you thought she was giving the cat to somebody else. What do you think this lady was, a prostitute? She just trying to do her job. Yes, indeed, she's an attractive young lady. Yes, she appears to be relatively voluptuous. But just because she turns you down don't mean she giving it up to somebody else. And granted, I'll give Skip his credit. A year later, in this document, it was stated that he apologized after she had proven to him that she never had a sexual relationship with him.
No, I gave you everything I had.
Now, if in the event this happens to be true, Skip, you're a terrible person. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Well, given these are all allegations, right? Why did she never go to HR? Why did she never go and file a report, whatever the case may be? Well, for one, it's stated early in this document that not only Skip, but all of the other individuals who are named has a direct impact on her employment. In fact, she was afraid of what Fox may do because they protected men in high places.
No one will ever know.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
All right, so boom. Everybody says they want to have a big 2025, whether that's taking the gym a bit more seriously, whether that's going for walks and clearing your head, maybe that's reading more books, or maybe even listening to audiobooks. Well, I know the perfect solution that can aid you in all of your improvements in 2025, and that's having some Raycons in your ears. Raycons everyday earbuds are the perfect gym buddy, co-worker, or phone call companion, offering premium audio that goes where you go. And the everyday earbuds now have a 32-hour battery life and a multi-point connectivity, so you can pair two devices at once. That's two at one time. The everyday earbuds also come with active noise cancellation. It's a feature that's a must-have for me on long flights, whether I'm in the gym or I'm just enjoying music while sitting in the studio. And you know me, I stay active, so whether I'm in the gym or going for a long run, I got Raycons in my ear. In fact, I've started doing 15,000 steps every single day, and I got Raycons in my ears when I'm walking in front of the computer daily. And keep in mind, Raycons start at just half the price as other premium audio brands. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in my description right now. Head over to buyraycon.com/chiseled and get 15% off Raycons site-wide. That's right. Click the link in my description right now. Head over to buyraycon.com/chiseled and get 15% off site-wide on your very next order of Raycons. Let them know I sent you.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Now that begs the question, who are these men in high places? Well, for one, this continually names Mr. Charlie Dixon in this statement. Furthermore, you got to take into account he was the very first significant hire of former Fox Sports president Jamie Horowitz, who was indeed terminated for sexual harassment. So you know what they say, birds of a feather.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
Oddly enough, this is actually where the Skip Bayless story ends. And I'll say this much regarding Skip. I don't understand how people who happen to be in your position continually do things like this. For one, throw your weight around. But for two, if you want to step out of your household, step out on your wife, why would you do it with a coworker? Are you dumb?
Is the man retarded?
But that's not how the game is played. You can't do that.
You could have hired an escort, but oh no, you wanted to move incredibly sloppy. And to make matters worse, and this is really why you're a piece of shit, if this just so happened to be true, you had your wife on your show and you gonna play in her face like this, she should go find a damn broomstick. Make sure it's incredibly splintered, and then proceed to stick it
All in my ass.
Now, believe it or not, this is actually the lighthearted portion of the 42-page complaint, because the much more sinister side of this lawsuit lays at the feet of Mr. Dixon and Joy Taylor.
I beg your pardon?
You see, because in 2016, Joy Taylor was hired by Fox Sports in March, and in May, she invited Miss Faraji out for drinks because she had recently been married, Joy that is, and her husband remained across the country, and Joy was very lonely, wanted to go and make some friends, decided, hey, why don't you come out for drinks? Miss Faraji says, yes, no problem, arrives to the location, only to find Joy seated there with an elderly gentleman. Turns out, this was allegedly Mr. Dixon.
Wow, that's crazy.
Now, why is that important? You're probably thinking to yourself, coworkers can't go out for drinks, and furthermore, one coworker can't pick up the tab. What's wrong with that? Well, for one, Joy Taylor in the past has gone on podcasts and said, well, she's been a beneficiary of pretty privilege, and she utilized it in her youth while going through college.
If you look a certain way, you have access to different things. I mean, that's how it works in the world. You don't have to pay for things. You know, that has its perks. In college, I would go out without any money and eat dinner and drink all night and get home safely. And I literally would not bring money with me. Because why would I need money?
Wow, that's crazy.
Well said, Joy. There's hundreds of thousands of ladies, and believe it or not, young men who've taken advantage of pretty privilege while they navigated through their adolescence. And then some have utilized it as an acquired skill, if you will, in the workplace in order to continually get what it is that they want. And Joy went on to say something incredibly important that will come into play in just a little bit. Why don't you go on and explain the dark side of leveraging your pretty privilege?
There is a very dark side to, particularly in the industry with women, if you are in situations with people who are like that, okay, I'm attracted to you, so I no longer view you as somebody professional. I want this from you, and if you don't do it, right, I'm not going to hire you, or I'm going to talk about you, or so that's a real thing that has happened for forever in this business, and that's a real thing that women navigate.
Wow, that's crazy.
Well said again, Joy. This is a lady who's incredibly informed. You understand the dangers of associating with these particular kind of men and how they leverage their power to not only put your job at risk, but also prevent you from acquiring future employment within that industry, because those types of individuals are incredibly connected. But why am I mentioning this now? Well, because it's alleged by Miss Faraji that upon viewing the body language of Miss Taylor and Mr. Dixon, it was apparent that the two were sleeping together. Now, but granted, that could just be Joy being an incredibly inviting, whimsical, welcoming, feminine woman, enjoying the presence of a man who's paying for all of the food and drinks. So that doesn't mean that they're sleeping with each other. But then later in the year, there was a dinner in which Joy had attended, Mr. Dixon had attended, Faraji had attended, and once again, it appeared as if the two were sleeping together in the presence of both of their spouses. In fact, the suspicion had grown so much so to where Joy's then husband had caught on to it. And shortly after, he filed for divorce. Well, that's interesting because when you do the research, that checks out.
Wow, that's crazy.
Now, granted, there's no confirmed reports that this was indeed the catalyst of the destruction of Miss Taylor's marriage. However, I do find it rather ironic that mere months after this dinner, suddenly there's a finalized divorce. But let's fast forward, right? Because one's got to wonder. Undisputed debuted in late 2016. Skip Bayless was poached from ESPN over to Fox Sports to begin a brand new show.
This is undisputed.
He makes the unilateral decision to go and recruit Shannon Sharpe to be on the team.
To this man right here.
thank you for believing in me.
There's a host spot that's given to Joy.
Joy, congratulations to you for being a third of this trio.
Who is a radio show host and a bartender with no television experience. Granted, she is indeed Jason Taylor's little sister. So perhaps nepotism is at the helm here. But wouldn't Skip, who the show is essentially for, have the final say on who's going to be the anchor?
Skip and Shannon Undisputed. Yeah, we co-host, but this is your show, so I owe you a little gratitude.
Well, allegedly in these documents, Skip never wanted Joy to be there. But Mr. Dixon said, "Could you do me a favor?" And suddenly, Joy's there on the debut of Undisputed.
Wow, that's crazy.
Now, granted, there's no confirmation. It's all allegation that Joy had slept with Mr. Dixon to land her spot as the host of Undisputed in that third chair. However, we had further allegations stating that, well, Mr. Dixon had a lady fired who didn't sleep with him to renew her opportunity of remaining on Fox. This is rather alarming to me, not by the actions of Mr. Dixon, but further the response from Miss Taylor. Because anybody who's ever watched or followed anything Joy Taylor, she's a staunch feminist. So why would you respond to Miss Faraji that you don't give a fuck about what the consequence of not sleeping with Mr. Dixon was for this woman, and who cares about the show she was associated with? That's a bit alarming, especially given the fact in this statement in 2017 at Joy's birthday party, Mr. Dixon was being very inappropriate with Miss Faraji. In fact, he groped her. And when she went to Miss Taylor in confidence, albeit afraid because having watched and observed a year prior, assuming and speculating that Miss Taylor and Mr. Dixon had been intimate, she came as a woman to Miss Taylor at her party. And how did Joy respond? Get over it. Well, that's quite the response, wouldn't you say? Now, let's just put on our thinking cap here. Given that this is January of 2017, Undisputed debuted in September of 2016, Joy had been on the job for 4 months. Surely you do not have the resume to, if you implicated Mr. Dixon and you were relieved of your duties at Fox, you don't have the leverage to go to a different network and have the same position. So it does make sense that you would tell Miss Faraji to essentially keep quiet, because not only would your job be on the line, but her job as well. And given that she's a single mother needing this employment to get by, it would probably serve her better to not say anything. That's interesting.
He's beginning to believe.
This Charlie Dixon is a tyrant, the Harvey Weinstein of Fox Sports, apparently. And for whatever reason, Joy refuses to come forward. Albeit, this is all allegations. This is all alleged.
Accusations!
Fast forward 18 months, it's now summertime 2018, and everything's going well for Joy. Personal life is booming, engaged to be wed. She's now dating Earl Watson, and they're months away from their wedding. Furthermore, in the business relationship, she has since made a lateral move, left Undisputed, where there was 3 chairs alongside Skip and Shannon. Now she's next to Colin Cowherd in the 2nd chair over at The Herd. But evidently, her fiance has caught on to what's going on behind the scenes and threatens to come public with this affair and advancement by way of sexual favors in Joy's career. And he's given hush money in the form of wedding deposits.
No one will ever know!
The engagement ended up getting called off, so it makes me wonder whatever happened to those deposits. But why would Joy allegedly cheat on her then husband with the baseball player with Mr. Dixon after she was freshly married, and then cheat on her fiance with Mr. Dixon when she's engaged to be married? That's not her character. Surely she has standards.
Can we just keep it a buck? If they're fine enough, if they're funny enough, or if their financial status is what you want. Fine, funny, fucking money. You're throwing all boundaries, standards, all that shit you talked on Instagram about how you would never, and this woman ain't because women this and men this. You're moving forward with this person.
Oh my, is that right? Fine, funny, fucking money. Is that right, Joe? Well, if that's the case, wouldn't that just all but confirm the ulterior motive behind why you operated, allegedly, of course?
Accusations!
And now, the hammer drops.
Dear God, no!
You see, in this lawsuit in February 2020, Ms. Faraji was once again invited out for drinks alongside Joy, but instead of Mr. Dixon being there upon arrival, it was Emmanuel Acho. Then, in the midst of their chemistry and their body language, it appears to Ms. Faraji that Emmanuel Acho is sleeping with Joy Taylor. Well, that's a bit bizarre, because if you were allegedly sleeping with Mr. Dixon in an effort to advance your career that got you the spot as the moderator on Undisputed, made the lateral move over as a correspondent on The Herd, what would you have to do with Emmanuel Acho, who at this time in 2020 has nothing to do with Fox Sports? There's no way that you would know, hindsight being 2020, that in a couple of months in June, after Jason Whitlock departs from Fox Sports, Emmanuel Acho is going to get the co-host spot next to Marcellus Wiley on Speak for Yourself. There's no way you could have had the foresight that in 2 years' time in 2022, Speak for Yourself is going to become Speak. There's no way you could have known that Emmanuel Acho would have invited you to now come and co-host onto that show.
Oh, shit.
And fast forward 2 more years to the fall of 2024, just a few months ago. And Emmanuel Acho, LaShawn McCoy, and James Jones all depart to go and form The Facility, a revamp of Undisputed. And you, Joy, are the lead host now on Speak. Huh. Coincidence? I think not.
She was a hooah.
This is all alleged. There's no way Emmanuel Acho was sleeping with Joy Taylor.
It's what I have to deal with, people. Like, I'm over here focused on the show, and, I don't know what exactly she's doing.
Listen, somebody has to look good around here, okay?
Slick, you see that shade she threw at you, bro? Because you wasn't talking to me.
That was everyone.
That's just co-worker banter. It's not like...
But truly, in the sports industry, I do not know anyone that is more impressive in every way, shape, or form than the one and only Joy Taylor, ladies and gentlemen.
He's just being nice.
Just got done with rehearsal for the new show Speak, and I got to take a moment to shout out my co-host Joy Taylor. A woman, a black woman, daily show, sports. Do you all realize how hard it is to get into the position that she is in? So often there's misogyny and sexism running rampant in sports, and we don't even care what women have to say in sports. But Joy is not only in the position on television as a woman, as a black woman, but as an opinionist. So not just asking men what they think, but providing her own unique and distinct insight. It's hard to do, and Joy, you have done it. So congratulations. Looking forward to working with you, and hope y'all tune in 4:30 to 6 Eastern every day starting next week.
Why are you smelling his finger so much? But why you feel the need to have to double, triple, quadruple down so heavily in order to sell the people on Joy? I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence, if you will. I don't think this means they're sleeping together.
Swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing where everything was overwhelming?
He did that shit. Guilty as fuck.
Oh, Lord. Son had his bare feet out while sitting on the couch with the blanket over the pelvic region. She must have had it out not too long ago. She was riding a cock carousel. Cock carousel. She was riding the meat, riding the meat.
Look at your neighbor and say he's a meat stretcher. He'll stretch your meat.
You
think this shit is fucking cool? Nah, man. We're failing as a people.
What does GTD stand for? Got the draws, okay? Got the draws. Say
Joy.
If that is what men are interested in behaving like, I feel like I can do that. I can be that person for you. I can give you an experience you've never had.
Skip Bayless offering $1.5 million to a damn hairstylist. He should have gave that money to Joy. Jason Whitlock out here talking about he couldn't fight temptation if he wanted to.
I got a lot of discipline, but 25-year-old with them big cans and that peanut butter skin who has nothing to say, at some point I'm going to lose respect. And I'm like, well, the only thing she's got to offer is them big cans and that peanut butter skin. And so if I got to put up with this, I might as well enjoy them big cans.
When she was on that cock carousel, evidently your appendage didn't get the selection.
I met the criteria to be selected, but I wasn't.
All jokes aside, though, this was the most alarming portion of the 42-page complaint. I really implore everybody to go and read it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. But this statement right here was truly what caught my attention. Miss Faraji says that Joy told her that she, when the time comes, would then go to the company and inform them that Mr. Dixon had taken advantage of her and forced himself upon her. And this is the kicker, that she would not allow herself to be forced out like all of the women before her. Why is this important? First and foremost, you're acknowledging the fact that you were aware of the other women being taken advantage of. Secondly, you willfully slept with this man and allowed himself not necessarily to forcefully bring himself upon you, but willfully allowed him to do so as long as it benefited you until you no longer needed it anymore. Granted, this is all alleged. However, how many times did we see something like this play out, where somebody leverages what should be considered wrong off the surface, but you let it roll as long as it possibly could because it's benefiting you. In the moment that it's no longer benefiting you, oh well, you throw your hands up in the air and say, well, you're a victim. That's not how it works. See, if you went forth immediately upon recognizing, hey, this person in a position of power is trying to take advantage of me, and you have something worth standing for, you would have immediately went to the execs and said something, regardless of what the outcome may have been in losing your job or something of that nature. Now, granted, I can recognize somebody like Miss Faraji, where you're in an unfortunate situation where it's a lose-lose. You step forward and you say something, you're out of a job, now you're struggling to go and take care of your child. But then if you stay silent, you then have to live with the fact that you're enabling this behavior because you refuse to go forth and speak. That's the criticism that I can send towards her. Let's just assume that this is indeed factual that she's saying. Joy Taylor, you're a piece of shit. You're a terrible human being. And you need to be called out about it. Because here's the thing regarding Mr. Dixon. He's not a public figure for all intents and purposes. You're somebody who's behind the scenes in the executive office doing all of this nefarious intent. But we don't see you, we don't know you unless you're in the in crowd or up until this lawsuit became public. Somebody like a Skip Bayless, somebody like a Joy Taylor, you're out in front. You're the ones who are on television. You're the names that are easily Googleable and incredibly accessible on the net. It's you guys who are going to be in the front here. And it's you guys who are going to take the bulk share of the criticism. And I've said in the beginning regarding Skip Bayless, you're a terrible human being if in the event this just so happens to be true. And furthermore, I stated prior that this was the end of the chapter regarding Skip. He actually doubled back in 2023 and attempted to see if he can sleep with Miss Faraji again. And she declined once more. But in the realm of Joy, this was a situation where you're going to utilize this as like somewhat of an 8-year plus plan. You entered into Fox Sports in 2016. You noticed what Mr. Dixon can do for you. You allowed Mr. Dixon to leverage his dicks up inside of you until you can go and get yourself in a prominent position to where now you're somewhat of a authority figure within the company. And then you would ultimately turn heel and out him for all of the nefarious things in which he did, but continue to shield and absolve and hide the role you played in all of that. And I think that's the biggest thing that needs to be addressed. And this is different than the Duke lacrosse team, what happened to Sean Oakman and Brian Banks, because in those cases, it wasn't as if the accuser was using what happened to advance their career. In Joy's case, she's essentially riding the cock carousel to push her career forward. Cock carousel. Cock carousel, she was riding the meat, riding the meat. And keep in mind, on different occasions, Joy was in a committed relationship, once married, the other time engaged. And still, one would assume she doesn't have the character to go and cheat on her man.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
And Joy said during the break, you're very funny about how you view, from a woman's perspective, you were not offended by what Tiger did when he was at the height of his game, cheated on his wife, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I'm not his wife. I mean, I'm sure that sounds very callous and cold, but I just don't know what that has to do with me.
Nasty bitch, stinking bastard, you filthy motherfucker. Hell no.
When you're talking about people who are in the entertainment industry, when you're talking about people who have access to a variety of different spaces, you can't apply that to everyone's lifestyle. And generally, if you have more access to temptation, it makes it more difficult to stay on the rails. I'm just saying that those sensibilities change as well. You cannot control other people's behavior. People are going to treat you how they want to treat you because that's what humans are. Humans do what they want to do. Wake up call, same time. How would I not know how hard it is to do the show I work on? You have to constantly reaffirm that you are good enough, that you belong there, and then always prove it. So I would just always say you gotta do twice the work to get half the opportunity. But that, to me, the mentality I've always had on it is that's just gonna make me better. So that's why I'm excellent. Because I had to be. I couldn't be average. I couldn't be okay. I couldn't be late. I couldn't complain. I couldn't say no. Now I do. Whether Jeff Saturday is successful or not does not diminish the fact that the way he got this job was ridiculous and embarrassing and disrespectful to everyone else in the organization. Everyone doesn't feel great about this hire in the organization. What it says to everyone, around the NFL, by the way, not just in-house, is that your hard work doesn't matter. What you put in doesn't matter. You could show up every day. You could get here early. You could leave late. You could put in years, blood, sweat, and tears. And if I have a better relationship with this guy, he's going to get the job over you. Remember that. And believe me, that message is received when you do things like this.
Fool me once. Shame on you.
It's about the message that you send about hard work and how it pays off in your organization. And good people that have options don't go to organizations like that because they want to know they have upward mobility. They want to know that their hard work is going to be rewarded and respected. And what the Colts did, said, hard work doesn't matter, honey. Relationships do. Sorry about it. And everyone's doubling down on it now. And remember, since we're doing receipts, I'm going to keep those too.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You fooled me, we can't get fooled again.
Keeping receipts. The next time a woman's up for a job, I don't want to hear about the experience that she needs to have it. Because I already know she's excellent if she's getting the interview in the first place. So all you are loud and tweeting and celebrating this whole thing and celebrating the fact that you don't need certain kind of accomplishments or resume to get a job, keep that same energy, please.
Man, what the fuck is you talking about? What the fuck was that? I'm sorry.
People that clock other people to use the information that they get from them in confidence to hurt them, to manipulate them, to try and damage their reputation. Fuck you. Over the past, let's call it 2 years, I have dealt with so many demonic people that have wormed their way into my life. The way that they've positioned themselves as caring about me to then turn around and use the information that I gave them to harm me. It is the worst thing you can do to a person. You're just a fucking demon. Like, you're just a bad person all the way through. I don't wish bad on people. People need to be wished bad on. I hope that you suffer. People need to be wished bad on. I hope that you suffer.
You've served your purpose. You may die now.
Oh! Let's call it what it is. Look at the fallout over the course of the past couple of days to these allegations. People are talking about, whether they think Skip may or may not have done it. But when it comes to Joy, now all of a sudden, everybody's sitting here saying, oh, wait a minute, it's all allegations, it's all this. But wasn't Joy the first person who jumped out in front regarding Deshaun Watson? With all of the domestic things regarding Ezekiel Elliott, everything of that nature? She didn't sit around and wait to see if there was any factuals of the case. She went forth and talked about, hey, if this is what's being alleged, disciplinary action needs to be done. So if that's the case, Joy, shouldn't disciplinary action be levied against you immediately? But yet you're still able to go up on television, no problem whatsoever. Granted, as I stated, this is all allegation. Everybody watching this right now can agree. This is all allegation. But she wasted little time voicing her opinion when allegations were sent forth regarding all of these other athletes, or whatever the case may be. But here you are now, it's being sent against you, and you're radio silent. You've got nothing to say. Legally, that's the right way to operate. But doesn't that make you seem just a bit hypocritical? And furthermore, in the realm of Joy, this is a staunch feminist lady. We probably wouldn't have been in a situation where all of the criticism is being thrown in her direction had she not carried herself the way that she's carried herself in the public eye the past few years. Whether it's been on the podcast, talking the way that she talks, over the course of the past couple of years, presenting herself the way that she's presented herself. Everything that you have said has led up until this point that makes people want to sit here and believe what's being written inside of this statement. Had you carried yourself, let's just say something like a Taylor Rooks, people wouldn't be sitting over here saying this is true. But the way that she carried herself, the way that she talks, and moreover, the way that the history and timeline of her time at Fox Sports appears, well, one would sit here and lean more towards cock carousel, cock carousel. She was riding the meat, riding the meat. And I'll say this much regarding this whole case, because call it what it is, if a lady were to come forth with these kinds of allegations and it was just Skip who was named in this lawsuit, most people would probably say, we have to wait to see if it's legitimate or not. You throw Joy in there, people will be much more inclined to say, whoa, how often do you have a lady throw another lady under the bus? The sisterhood usually keeps these types of things behind closed doors, so it must be true. But again, given the character of Joy over the past few years, the questions regarding her credentials, if you will, in the space, and above all else, the timeline of how all of this plays out, I'm going to be very curious what the conclusion of this saga just so happens to turn into. And like I stated prior, all jokes aside, this is an incredibly disgusting situation. Skip is already off of television. Emmanuel Acho got dragged into this simply because, well, you weren't moving very thorough, if true. Because the types of relationships that you want to have on air with co-hosts should be behind closed doors and not seen to your coworkers, because anything that you happen to do out in the dark shall mess around and come to light. And moreover, if you're in a situation where you're doing things that should have been done in the dark, in the light, everybody gonna see it soon enough. So everybody here moving incredibly sloppy. So I would hope that if this happens to be true, justice just so happens to be served. But to Joy, to Skip, and above all else, Mr. Dixon, y'all all need to be dealt with. And I would hope there's serious disciplinary action that's sent down upon the three of you, if in the event this just so happens to be true. And best believe that these three are not the only three individuals who just so happen to be involved. Because I can promise you this. She's not the only one who is a victim. You had the other lady who was remaining anonymous inside of the 42-page complaint. And I can promise you, there are countless others who are probably just waiting to build up the courage to now come forth and speak up. So, to all those individuals who happen to find themselves in a position of power, who want to go and take advantage of it, y'all will all be dealt with in time. But to Skip, Mr. Dixon, enjoy. I got somewhere better for y'all. Chris!
You're gonna have to die.
Here comes the United States champion, Chris Benoit.
He's not gonna do what I think, is he? Oh no, come on. 16-foot. Oh!
Arms are clasped.
Look at him ready.
I can't believe it.
Off the ground, is he? Whoa, he did! Yes, he is! Oh, Benoit, look at Benoit!
Justice!
Now, I'm not saying he should have killed her, but I understand.
Hey, I appreciate you watching the entire video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button on the way out if you haven't already. And on top of that, hit that notification bell as well. For whatever reason, YouTube's only showing my videos to 20% of my subscribers. So if you have already turned on the notification bell, turn it off, turn it back on. If you never turn it on, turn it on. I appreciate you.